I'd like to have Miss, oh, here she is. She is here.
Oh, good.
So noted. So can I have Miss Carla Calvo Petra lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Put you right on the spot. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. And we know you're our special guest today, so we decided to get you started. Okay, so we'll go right on to our student and staff recognition.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Granado. Good evening, everyone. The Wethersfield Public Schools are currently celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month over the course of this month. And I am very pleased and proud to invite up to the podium our ELL teacher at Emerson Williams, Miss Carla Calvo Piedra. Come on up.
All right. I think, yeah. That's very cool that it's double screen. Well, good evening. My name is Carla Calvo Piedra. That's how you say the second last name. And I'm actually Mrs. Thank you so much thank you for the opportunity to share with you guys what we did at Emerson Williams this past week. Our population has been largely Bosnian and Albanian through the past years. In the last 2 years, we've seen an increase of Hispanic families coming to the district, a lot of non-English speakers altogether, or half and half, but we have a lot of Hispanic families now, and me being a Hispanic person, also an immigrant, I feel very close to them. I relate a lot to them, and we wanted to recognize their contributions and the heritage that they bring to our school. So we created a little event. We called it Coffee Hour in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. And basically, I invited all of our Hispanic families and everybody else as well to coffee hour, because in Hispanic culture, coffee time is very important. We all sit down around 4 p.m., something like that, and when you come from work before dinner, there's coffee time. You sit down, there's coffee, there's pastries, there's bread. When my husband went to Costa Rica, he said, how am I supposed to eat dinner now? Because we do a whole kind of meal in between, and it's time where you sit with your family and you talk with the kids about school, with your family about work, and everybody gathers usually at grandma's house or with your nuclear family. So we decided to do coffee hour. This was our invitation.
Beautiful.
I made it and I put it in Parent Square, and also send it individually to the families that I knew were only Spanish speakers. So we did it in both languages, and we invited everybody to come. We said it's to celebrate these families, but we want all of you to join us and celebrate their contributions to the American culture. And we started having responses in paper and also digitally. And we had, between kids and parents and family members, we had about 110 people that registered. So it took Neela by surprise, because she didn't expect that many people. But I think that's what we do. We like to gather, and stay with each other. I think that's a big part of our culture. So we decorated the gym with Hispanic Heritage Month banners and decorations. We decorated with different flags. I was missing the Peru one and that empty spot that you see there, because a family brought it for me, and they didn't come when I took the picture. They came later. So, but there was a Peruvian one there, a big one. We had a lot of food. At the beginning was a little bit of a struggle, I gotta say, because we asked the cafeteria people to help us, and he is actually struggling himself, so he couldn't have the staff and everything. So a week before, we didn't know what we were gonna do for food, but I'm proud to say that when you're Hispanic, you always come for the community. So we have staff that are Hispanic, and they said, I can make this, I can make that, and I said myself, I can make this other things. We looked for donations as well. Nila gave us a budget, and I rearranged it because I'm like, no, we don't need to spend in this. We'll spend in this other thing. So we rearranged it to the point that we had so much food that families took food home, and I had put food in the staff lounge, and all the other staff members that helped me took food home too. So it was plenty, and we felt very blessed. Some of the traditional things we had, not everything was traditional, but some of the traditional things we had was arroz con leche, which is like a rice pudding with condensed milk and cinnamon and things like that. Our lunch aide, who is Argentinian, and she used to be a baker, she made tres leches, which is like a moist cake, and she put also dulce de leche there, which is like caramel. We also had a mom, she brought like a tray of some kind of like botana, which is like a, how to explain that? Like a little bite before you eat dinner, things like that. And it had olives and cheese and other things. We had coffee, tea, juice for the kids. It was a lot of things to pick, right? It wasn't like a dinner, it was a coffee hour. Um, and we have a lot of families that either came with their traditional outfit from their home country, like their traditional from the past that they use for parades and things like that, or a shirt or a jersey from their soccer team. Because in Hispanic culture, soccer is very important. So we had a lot of families come. You can see there, Alana has the Peruvian like coat of arms, let's say, in her shirt. Mom has a shirt that says Mamacita, which is, I thought it was very cute. And we had a full gym. Um, some of the students wanted to perform. It mostly came out of their own ideas. I said, do you want to do something? And they were like, yes. And I said, it's all going to be in Spanish. And they got very excited because it was going to be in Spanish. So what we did this time is, instead of doing an English activity to honor Hispanic Heritage Month, we did the activity in Spanish. And this time our English speakers were the ones that had an interpreter. So it was also a good opportunity to kind of turn the table and put each one of us in the other position, right? We had a full gym. We had families from families that were Colombian, Argentinian, Peruvian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Costa Rican. What else did we have? I think that was about it. The kids were playing in the middle. They played with the balloons. They were dancing. All the music we had was in Spanish, and they were all dancing. They were having a great time. We gave some time for families to actually just mingle, and then after that, we did a little bit of presentation. I told them, you can introduce your family if you want. It's mandatory, it's voluntary, and everybody did it. Everybody introduced their families. So we have here a couple of the Peruvian families. Our lunch aide, Bibi, who is Argentinian, and her husband and daughter. We have a Colombian family, a Puerto Rican family, another Puerto Rican family. You can see Dylan was very excited. We have, a Honduran. I almost forgot our Honduran family. They live across the street from the school. Honduran family, Colombian and Puerto Rican as well. Another Colombian family, Dominican family. They all look very happy. And this mom came with her traditional dress. They're Dominican as well. And the dad and the kids came with what we call the guayabera, which is like that particular shirt with the buttons in the pockets here. Beautiful. We had families that may not speak Spanish, like the Nets family, but they know some words, and they are proud of their heritage because they have Hispanic heritage. So they came and they joined us, and that made me really happy too, because you can't forget your roots, even if, some things didn't carry over. Another Peruvian family. We have a lot of Peruvians in Wethersfield. And here we have the amazing team that came to help. We have our lunch aide, Bibi. We have Diane Burnham. We have Peggy, who helped us to decorate. Lisa Ball, our other L teacher, Molly, one of our new paras, and we have Mrs. Anne Marie Moore and Mrs. Rhea Emmanuel. They all came to help. Also, Miss Daniolos, who couldn't stay, and Mr. Lopez, who couldn't stay, but they all helped to put it together. And that's my son. He was dressed in traditional outfit, and my husband brought him with our nanny, who's also Costa Rican. Yes. We had a couple of families, as I said, that were not Hispanic in general, but they wanted to come and celebrate with us, and that was wonderful. When we did this, let's get to know each other. As you can see, everything was English, Spanish, but the first one was Spanish, and they did answer the questions. This was our interpreter. She is fantastic. I have a list of the ones that I like the most because even when I speak Spanish, that's not my job. So every time we need an interpreter, we get one, and I know the ones that are fantastic, and she's one of them. She is Dominican. Her name is Ana. And do we have audio?
Should.
Yes, okay. So I'm going to show you just a sample of how the families...
Here comes Jim.
Oh, okay. How the families introduce themselves. As I said, we did everything in Spanish, and the interpretation was to English, but we let the families just be who they are in this activity. I should have told you before. Thank you. No. Yeah. Here it's muted.
Just pull this.
Can you hear it? Yeah.
Good afternoon, we are from Honduras. That's not a stupid. Hola, somos la familia Sánchez. Yo soy de Perú y mi esposo es de Puerto Rico. No está aquí por el trabajo. Good afternoon, we're the Sanchez family. I am from Peru. My husband is from Puerto Rico. He is not here to do his job.
Let me see. Oh, I can't keep
Other
going.
families?
Nope.
Other family?
1 second, please. Let's see if it works now. This one.
Yo soy la mamá de Alonso y Dayanara y somos de Puerto Rico. Good afternoon, I am Alonso and Dayanara's mother and we are from Puerto Rico. Hola, yo soy Chayla Peralta, de la familia Peralta. Yo soy mamá de Jonathan y de Daniel. Yo represento a Puerto Rico, mi esposo de República Dominicana. Hello, I'm Shara Peralta. I represent Puerto Rico and my husband is from the Dominican Republic.
So that's a little bit of there were more videos, but I just wanted to give you a little sample. We also talked about why it's celebrated. Why do we celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month? I don't know if we have time for you guys to watch the video. We can skip it. You tell me. Should I play it? Skip
How
it?
long is it, Carla?
It's 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It is in Spanish, so I'm going to put subtitles. So just 1 second. Oh, great. Sorry.
¿Qué es el mes de la herencia hispana y por qué es tan importante para Estados Unidos? Del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre se celebra en los Estados Unidos el mes de la herencia hispana o mes de la hispanidad. Esta es una celebración importante porque reconoce las contribuciones a la sociedad y la cultura del país de los estadounidenses con raíces en España, México, América Central, América del Sur y los países hispanohablantes del Caribe. En 1968, el Congreso autorizó al presidente Lyndon B. Johnson a que proclamara la Semana Nacional de la Herencia Hispana, que iniciaba el 15 de septiembre. La razón de la fecha es por la celebración de las independencias de Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras y Nicaragua, y 16 de septiembre y 18, fechas en que México y Chile celebran sus independencias. En 1974, la enmienda sienta las bases cuando el entonces presidente Gerald R. Ford emitiera una nueva proclama que instaba a las escuelas y organizaciones de derechos humanos a participar en la Semana de la Herencia Hispana. Luego, el 17 de agosto de 1988, el presidente Ronald Reagan quiso hacer este reconocimiento más amplio de los estadounidenses de origen hispano y amplió la celebración a un mes entero. Según encuestas de la Oficina del Censo de los Estados Unidos, la población hispana en el país a la fecha del 1 de julio del 2021 era de 62.6 millones, lo cual convierte a los hispanos en la mayor minoría étnica o racial del país. Este año resulta clave en la celebración debido al incremento de mensajes de odio contra inmigrantes y población hispana camino a las elecciones del 8 de noviembre. El presidente Biden hizo la proclamación de las celebraciones este año con un mensaje inicial. La herencia hispana ocupa un lugar indeleble en el corazón y el alma de nuestra nación. En ciudades como Nueva York, Miami y Los Ángeles se llevarán a cabo actividades y eventos de la celebración para evocar así la herencia hispana.
And we also talked about the difference between Hispanic and Latino. And just very quick, all Hispanics are Latinos because we come from Latin America, but not all Latinos are Hispanic because Hispanic means you speak Spanish. So there are different countries in Latin America, like Brazil and the Guyanas that do not speak Spanish. So they're considered Latinos, but they're not considered Hispanic. So that's how I explain it. All Hispanics are Latinos, but not all Latinos are Hispanic. We had two girls from 6th grade who have been in the country for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, and they have struggled to use their English because it was very limited at the beginning. And they decided on their own that they wanted to do a report on their country, Peru. And they did a slideshow. I had to reduce it because it was so long. They were so excited about it. They did excellent. They stood up in front of everybody. These are girls that a lot of people have never heard them talk at all. And they spoke about their country. They were super proud. They told a lot of details and a lot of facts about the country. This is very short as well. You can hear here Michaela, who's a student who never talked before.
The climate in the coast is dry and sometimes with little precipitation.
Las danzas más famosas de la costa son la marinera, que es la danza más emblemática de la costa.
The traditional and the most popular dances of the coast are the marinera, which is the most
Just a little example. She has gotten out of her shell a lot, and I think this was a big moment for her and her friend Kiana, who was actually the one that had the initiative to start this presentation. Then we also had two students, and one of them has been in our school for a month, and she said, I want to dance. I want to dance the song that is called I am Puerto Rican, and the song talks about how beautiful it is to tell the world that you're Puerto Rican. And they created all the steps, and I let them borrow. I used to be a Spanish teacher, so I have a lot of props, and I let them borrow my dresses for Hispanic Heritage Month, and they looked beautiful. One of the moms brought makeup, another one brought flowers. They did full-on outfit. It was beautiful. Finally, we had a poem. It was a very short poem that I wrote for my students. It was in Spanish about being Hispanic. We projected it in the screen in English and Spanish for the families, and we practiced with them. Our lunch aide, BB, helped me rehearse the kids a lot. It was fantastic. It was all ages of kids that spoke Spanish, even the ones that Spanish is not their first language but second, and they wanted to participate. So they came dressed in their outfits, and they spoke in Spanish in front of everybody.
Un aplauso para
Oh, this doesn't go. This was our poem. Very simple. I'm Hispanic. I'm Latino. I'm Hispanic. I go with you hand in hand. I grew up in my land with my people, and I always have my country in my mind. I love seasoning, dancing, and joy. I'm Hispanic night and day. And as you can see, a lot of people came with their traditional outfits or jerseys, as I explained it before. Lisa is Russian, but she joined the celebration full on with a Puerto Rican dress. And this is a picture of everybody that came with something that represented their country. And as a Hispanic woman, I just feel very, very touched by seeing this picture, and very proud of all of them. And at the end, we played Hispanic country bingo. So it was just the names of the countries, and some kids got some prizes, and we had some fun. So thank you for listening to us, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Carla, thank you very much. That was most interesting. And we did have an ELL presentation, Student Program and Services, so your timing is perfect.
Oh,
Thank you.
excellent.
Any comments?
Yes, or questions. I was going to ask if you have any questions or comments.
Janice?
That was a lovely coffee hour. The organization behind it and the care and the love are just, you can feel it. It was really amazing, and just the diversity of the Hispanic community really came across through that too. But really amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
doing that.
Thank you.
Carla, gracias por todo lo que estás haciendo para Wethersfield.
Muchas gracias.
De mi corazón.
Gracias.
Yo sé cuánto toma hacer todo para los estudiantes. It is such a big deal to do that for the students. And it's just, I'm very touched. I'm
Thank
proud of
you.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just had a comment. Thanks, and it's nice that Emerson Williams encourages, speaking in different languages. I know my daughter in third grade is, learned how to count to 10 and knows a few other Spanish words. So it's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it would be great if one day we think about bringing a second language to the elementary levels, because personally, I learned English since I was 3, all the way up to high school, and I don't think I will be here, and I wouldn't be married to my husband if I couldn't communicate with him. And learning a language takes a long time. So the younger you are, the better it is. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you again. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, Carla.
Thank you, Carla, very much.
Okay, I'll just let Jim rid of our screen here. Thank you. So next on tonight's agenda is approval of the minutes for our regular Board of Ed meeting on September 24th, 2024. Are there any corrections?
I have a correction.
Yep.
On page 6, it says Mr. Weir, and it was supposed to say Mr. Weiner. And I already told.
My apologies
Okay,
for
corrected?
that.
Yeah. So that was already corrected in in your minutes there? Okay, so anybody else? All right, so with those corrections added, all right, may I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Those minutes are approved. And also on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes for our special Board of Ed meeting on September 27th, 2024. Are there any corrections? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Those minutes are approved. Okay, so is there anyone in our audience who would like to make a public comment? Please come on up to the podium and state your name and address. And may I remind you, the public comments are limited to 5 minutes. And also another reminder is that the board cannot comment on anyone who comes up to make comments. Thank you. Go ahead.
It's weird to be over here, so
Hello, Amanda.
yeah. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you guys. Amanda Drew, 340 Wolcott Hill Road. I'm here regarding the new statement titled Role of the Board of Education on the agenda for a vote tonight. I sincerely hope that after some discussion, it is actually tabled. I appreciate the idea of providing clear roles and responsibilities for Board of Education officials, but this is not it. The voice of this document is muddled, and there appears to be 2 distinct voices for 2 distinct audiences. As a former Board of Ed member, I am concerned about putting this up for the public as it is written. I do not believe you have even vetted this by the administration nor legal counsel. It looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this will be put up on the Board of Ed webpage as a resource for parents and members of the public for when they have a concern and want to know whom to reach out to and what role each individual Board of Ed member has. I fully support creating a flyer for parents to help them understand who to contact regarding an issue, why they're not getting responses from everyone, and where to go when they have a student or staff issue. But this is 6 pages long, and most parents do not have that kind of time to fully digest. I further believe that this should actually be 2 separate documents, a concise 1-page document for parents, then a more involved one specifically for new members to help them navigate Robert's rules, meeting etiquette, responsibilities, roles, constituent contact, and so forth. I also have some large concerns with adding opinions and your perceived beliefs of the roles regarding elected members of the board. Nowhere in this document should there be opinions, only concrete principles. I would like to bring to your attention 2 examples that flew off the page for me. First, in understanding your role, you appear to be basically creating a corporate job description to post on Indeed for a future Board of Ed member, discussing things like grasping time commitments and having the ability to manage multi-billion-dollar budgets as essential. I do not feel this is the correct document to discuss this, and if that's not what you meant, it's just written poorly. Secondly, and the reason why I'm really here tonight is in the Be Responsible section, where you are telling future Board of Ed members that they basically need to fall in line, stay quiet, and support the decisions of the majority, even if they disagreed, all because a vote didn't go their way. This flies in the face of democracy, and especially in the education field, where dissent should not only be allowed, but encouraged. No one should have to bend their convictions or not be allowed to express their opinions simply because a vote was taken. A culture of unity is created from healthy discussions, compromise, and respect, not forced silence. I also find the addition of the quotes at the end to be frivolous and unnecessary. None of these quotes are related to or even references the board, its roles, or its responsibilities. But since you end on a quote, I would like to also. Dr. Adam Grant, a professor at UPenn, said, "Strong leaders engage their critics and make themselves stronger. Weak leaders silence their critics and make themselves weaker." Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? All right, Mr. Emmett, you have some communications for us?
I do. Thank you, and good evening again, everyone. A few items for you this evening. I am currently digesting from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving a grant application. I know Angelica down at the end of the dais is interested in this. This is an opportunity for us to seek out funding from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, and it is student-centered. So at the high school, we will be applying for a grant of up to $5,000, and it is a student-led idea. So we will be the fiscal agent, and I will submit the grant, but the ideas are coming from the students. So we have already talked at the high school level about utilizing the Eagle Crew to work on this grant application. At the middle school has the opportunity to earn a grant of up to $2,500. I will be working with the Lion leaders, our student leaders at Silas, Deane, to develop an idea and foster that idea into a grant application. And I'm hopeful that we are successful. So we've got the grant application submission by the end of this month. So we are currently working on that. So very happy. And again, Angelica, thank you for your leadership. You helped to serve on that board. So we're going to need some members of Eagle Crew to step up to get that done. So definitely well done. Also very pleased to report as I begin the final chapter of my career here in Wethersfield, I am thinking ahead to next year. One of the things I certainly want to do is make sure that we have summer programming in place and opportunities for kids. I had the opportunity to meet with leaders from the YMCA, and I am pleased to report that Wethersfield has been selected to participate in a Summer Bells Scholars Program next summer. This will allow upwards of approximately 35 students to have a full-day summer experience over the course of approximately 5 weeks. This is being run currently in a couple of towns, including Vernon. It's been very successful. We have our summer class program, which is enrichment. This is really focused on students that need that academic support. So there's lots more forthcoming on this, but very happy to be able to partner with the Y to provide this opportunity for our kids coming up next summer. A couple other updates. High Crest Roof. The High Crest Roof, we had some rain yesterday, so I started my day over at High Crest, and I am pleased to report there was no water that got into the media center. So as of Friday afternoon, it was 100% watertight. This week, the roofing company is finishing up on flashing, doing some metal work, and then we'll be taking down their equipment and should be finished this week. So the project went very well. Again, kudos to the contractor. They actually brought in lights and worked into the evening to make sure that the roof rip, where they took the old material off, was done efficiently and the new roof was replaced. So at this point in time, we expect that High Crest roof to be finished this week. So it's something we can cross off the list. Coming up on the 22nd of October, we will work to set the graduation date for the 2024 school year. So that should be forthcoming. At this point in time, as Marjorie pointed out, the projected last day of school is Thursday, June 12th. Please note that that is day 182. So we have flexibility to actually avoid Thursday and go earlier in the week, as long as we get 180 days in. So technically speaking, we could graduate on day 180, which I believe is Tuesday, June 10th. There'll be more information forthcoming, and that'll come before you for a vote at the 22nd meeting. Very pleased to report that we will be coming together again to discuss the teacher contract. We have negotiated a teacher's contract. My understanding is that the teachers ratified this contract with flying colors today, so it will be coming before you Very pleased that we were able to work collaboratively on a deal that was equitable both to the board and certainly to the teachers. So very happy to report that. A couple of other items, safety and security training. Obviously, last week we had multiple additional threats at various schools across the state. One of the things that we will be doing, we're always looking to learn, so tomorrow morning I will be participating in a safety security training offered by the FBI around swatting and bomb threats. I'll be in for a 9 o'clock webinar. Mr. Barabalt will be in for the 2 o'clock session. So we continue to do that work. I did have the opportunity last week to attend the New England Association of School Superintendents Annual Conference. This year, Connecticut hosted. I have been a longtime member on the executive board of this particular group and am past president. This time around, we had a full slate of workshops that covered, again, many of the same topics here: the achievement, the equity, and the empathy. So we had a varied slate of workshops. In addition to that, we recognized several superintendents across the state for their leadership and their work. We heard from Charlene Russell Tucker, our Commissioner of Education, who was able to get a video clip from Dr. Miguel Cardona, Secretary of Education down in Washington. So he sent his greetings as well. So a very productive conference, great networking with my colleagues from across New England. And I am pleased to report that next year the conference will be up in Vermont, looking at Killington. So again, with that, that is communications this evening. Thank you, Mrs. Granato.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Tonight we have 2 action items. And John, would you please read action item A?
Yes, I recommend that the Wethersfield Board of Education approve the 2025-26 and 26-27 school calendars.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion here? I think this is our second reading of it. We looked at it. All set then? Okay, we take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion A passes. And motion B, Liz Walters, would you read it for us?
I'd be happy to. I move that the Wethersfield Board of Education approve the roles of the Wethersfield Board of Education. This was created by the Community and Public Relations Committee and is being brought to the entire board for approval. The purpose is to better explain the board's education roles.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, let's have some discussion here. Liz?
Sure. So the Community and Public Relations Committee crafted this document in an effort to fill the gap between the 9,000 series, the bylaws of the Board of Ed, that is currently on our site, and to fill a gap between that and what parents would like to know about what does the Board of Ed do. If we have questions, who do we reach out to? Who do we expect to get back to us? What is it that the Board of Ed does, essentially? And we also wanted to provide some links to the federal and state laws that we abide to. While the 9,000 series in the policy section of the Wethersfield Public Schools site provides 24 sections covering the bylaws, it is very detailed. It is separate. It is not a what if or scenario-based type of artifact, a grouping of artifacts that would allow a parent to say, if I have this situation, how do I move forward with understanding my role, the school's role? How do I contact? And what can I expect from the schools to reach back out to me? So this document here intends to fill that gap. It is also a major milestone in the planning efforts of the Community and Public Relations Subcommittee that we have met with, and this is our opportunity to share it with the board for review, public comment, and input.
Thank you, Liz. And there was a question about did we get legal advice and legal counsel from this, and we did. I contacted Patrice McCarthy, who is the Executive Director and General Counsel for CABE, and her comment was that this was exactly what she would want to see. Hold on, I'll find it for you. And she said this document accurately reflects the role of the Board of Education with appropriate links to Wethersfield's specific information. Okay?
Thank you.
Anyone else with comments?
I just want to thank Liz for taking on this role and creating this document and finding a bunch of resources. one of the reasons this started was I noticed a lot of other districts have on their website an explanation of the Board of Ed roles, and we did not have that. And something just to give parents an understanding and just explain our role and what we do. And so she was up for the task of kind of creating this document. We went through it several times and used different resources and definitely kind of fine-tuned it over time. One of the things in response to Amanda that we'll do, and I've contacted Jeff Telke, is how to present it on the website. Like, that's the document, the language is here for us to approve, but should we put it out just as is, or can we put it into more of a set of slides, or put it into a set of links based on the sections of the document? So that will be something that I'm going to talk to him about, and what the webmaster would probably, they have to put it up on the website. So ask their advice on how to kind of design the look of it, or placement of it. Other than that, the information will be the same. But thank you, Liz.
Jim?
Yes, I have a couple of concerns. This was released Friday. We've had basically 3 days to review this. The list references several policies, and I guess I'm wondering, why is this not coming before the Policy and Planning Committee before it comes to this board? And I'm not sure that there's not some legal concerns here. I'm wondering if folks are going to be relying on this document. And lastly, I agree that the respect of fellow board members is essential, but it's the difference in our backgrounds and viewpoints that make a board successful. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yep.
Right here? Oh,
I'm still wondering why we're voting on an informational document. Can you answer that question?
Because it was brought up to us as to put on the website, has come from the Board of Ed.
Right, so everything that goes on the website we should be voting on?
No, just this would be an important document to have on there.
So everything else on the website's not important?
No,
but this is,
we're
that's
not
what you
going to
just
play the
said.
word game, no.
No, so I'm still asking, so if this is a policy that we're voting on, we should have two reads like we do for policies. I'm still wondering why we're voting on this. Where does this fall under the board's business to be voted on?
Well, you know, I do use CABE, which I know you think highly of, and Patrice McCarthy gave us the direction that this was fine.
No, she said it was fine, and I agree, the document's fine. I'm still asking why we're voting on it. It's not a policy, as Matt is trying to tell you. It's a document that's going to be on the website. We don't vote on anything else that we put on the website. Tons of documents go on the website that don't get voted on. I'm still trying to figure out why we're voting on this.
Okay, thank you. Anybody
No,
else?
so you're not going to answer me?
I did. I did
Okay.
answer you.
I called the question to order. I call the question to vote. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
And now we're going to have a vote on why are we bringing
No,
it?
I call the question. No, parliamentary procedures.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, why should I? I'm not the parliamentarian. I called the question to order.
Madam Chair, I don't think everybody had time to discuss, though.
That's why,
We still
but I
needed
called
more
the question to
we had more
order. So
comments.
if someone knows the parliamentary procedures other than me,
Help us. What do you want to do next?
I'm calling the discussion to end.
We can vote on
Grounds
that,
of
right?
what? We have to
So we'll
vote.
have
What
a
are the
vote
grounds?
on if we want this discussion to end.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay,
Nay.
sorry. Any abstentions? Could I do a
You know-
roll call?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Cowan Carson?
No.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacavoli?
Nay.
Renato?
Nay.
Sorry, guys. Mrs. DeRoberts?
Nay.
No.
Ms. Hernandez Williams?
Nay.
Ms. Walters?
Nay.
Seven. So it's 7 nay. And 2 yes.
Tell me the final count again.
7 nay, 2 yes.
Okay, so we can move on to the motion.
Yes, the
I think
discussion.
discussion can
Okay, so
continue.
now that
Right.
we voted that discussion can continue,
Yes.
I would like to
That's correct. The
discuss.
the
All right, so
discussion
I want to,
I believe Christina had
Yeah,
comments
can I
first.
just say a couple comments? So first, this document was brought forward to committees, and so we might need to pay closer attention to committee minutes and then those presentations. Families are asking, what does the board do, and what is the procedure to ask questions and to speak up? They need a voice, and they need to know what we do. And that hasn't been clear. And you're doing the homework, and you're going to other districts, and you compare to other districts, and that's what this document represents.
Anyone else for discussion? Matthew?
So I want to thank the Community and Public Relations Committee for their work on this document. I understand that not everything on the WPS website either comes out of committee or is voted on, but when a group from this board works on something like this that is beneficial to the public, I think we should take it seriously, and I don't think that there's reason to stymie something like this. This is good work. After reading it, I was like, oh yeah, so prior to me being on the Board of Ed, I would have asked these same questions. What is the role of the Board of Ed? What do they do? What do they not do? Who is going to respond to me when I write an email to them? I think this is a very concise document that lays out what the role of the Board of Education is, and I think it's beneficial to have on our website for the public. I don't think the Be Responsible section is as heavy-handed as has been described by some. It says should support the decision. It does not say must support the decision. We're going to disagree on a lot of things up here, but in the end result stays the same. You might lose a battle here or there. I might lose a battle here or there, but we're still waging this same war. We're still working together for the overall good of the public school system here. We don't need to be getting caught up in waging little battles over documents like this that are overall a good thing. So I appreciate that this was put together. I appreciate that it's going to be on the website, and I thank everybody who worked on it.
Okay, anyone else for discussion? John?
Yeah, I want to echo Vice Chair Lacavoli's comments, but I also wanted to, something I've said many times about us working in government, what the public wants to see is how does this work? How do we get work done? This is a prime example of how work gets done in our subcommittees. As a member of that committee and the work that Liz put in, Liz, thank you so much for putting the work into this. As someone who actually works in corporate America, and I know some of the others up here do too, it's tough to sometimes get clarity on roles and responsibilities. I think as a new board member, we did a wonderful job describing and getting this document prepared. So the work is put in, and although I appreciate good, friendly pushback, I'm really happy to see that we can now move forward with this motion. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Liz?
Am I allowed to speak again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, in this section around being responsible, and there is a line in the last paragraph for anyone who wants to look at it. Once the vote has been decided, the entire board should support the decision. I also want to point your attention and bring that line to the source list. A lot of this information was pulled from CABE, which is the organization that we use who endorses our roles as Board of Ed members. And you'll find that information in CABE as well. So it certainly does not imply that we should all agree. That doesn't mean that at all. It just means that after the vote is done, we should get along. We should move forward because we're serving Wethersfield. We're not serving egos. We're not serving concerns. We're moving Wethersfield forward. And that's what that line is intended to mean.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to continue my discussion. So if you look at roles and functions of board members, it's clearly outlined. Board members do not manage the day-to-day operations of the school district. They see to it that the school district is managed well professional administrators, individuals that have no more authority than any other public member of the public. Yet someone on our board just told us that they were going to contact Jeff Tulke and work with them to put this on the website, but that's not within our roles. That's in this document that we're about to approve. It's just ironic that we're voting on a document that a lot of us don't even follow. Because it clearly says that we do not get involved in day-to-day, so we shouldn't be reaching out to anybody. Then the own document that you guys are gonna vote on. So let's make sure we know what we're voting on and know our roles and responsibilities.
I do think everyone has read it, and we have our comments, so let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
So noted.
Any abstentions? I think we got them all. Okay, that motion passes. Okay, let's move on to, we have a presentation this evening on class sizes, which is so important in our schools and getting our kids where we want them to be.
No.
Good evening again, everyone. I am very pleased to present you with the annual class size report for the Wethersfield Public Schools. This is a culmination of the work of our curriculum department and our IT department, Jeff Telke and Suzanne Curtin primarily, who work to maintain our ongoing registrations. So in terms of current numbers at this point in time, you see a comparison between last year and this year. Could we turn the lights up a little bit, please? Sorry. I'm getting old here, Mr. Lacavoli.
Fine, you can still see it.
There we go. I need a magnifying glass for this. So we have a comparison first and foremost with the table of 10/1/2023 versus 10/1/2024. So you can see that overall, last year we were at 3,560 students as of October 1 of 2023. And this year we're actually down. We are down to 3,446 students. The next table talks about the number of sections that we have across the district. As you can see, we are down one section. That's one section of kindergarten. We went from 3 to 2, and you'll see later on some of the impact that that is having this year with our numbers in grade 1. So table 1 talks about the elementary class sizes across each elementary school. And you can see the impact, two things with regard to kindergarten. Our kindergarten numbers are the lowest that they have been in years. And that is partly due to the change in the law with regard to 5-year-olds needing to be 5 by September 1st. It is also indicative of a lower birth rate for this year. That was something we saw within our enrollment projections. I want to turn your attention to the grade 1, specifically over at Webb. You'll see the 7 students that are next to the asterisk. Those are students that are in our specialized programs. So those students are also included in the sections. So that 7 on the bottom of grade 1 at Webb, those are students that will integrate into the mainstream grade 1 classrooms with para support. It is not always consistent. It's based upon the IEP. One of the things that we're looking at, I've had a conversation with Mr. Craig today, and frankly, in terms of adding an additional section at this time, I don't have the room. We're out of room there. I don't have any more classroom space. However, one of the things we talked about doing today is adding an additional building sub to Webb so I can have an additional adult between both of those classes and take in small groups so that we can reduce the ratio of adults to students. So we're currently working on that now. Again, the other thing too that we've talked about is the students come in, we've explored the idea of offering up another Wethersfield school. The challenge there is that 9 times out of 10 when we have a new first grader coming in, they have a sibling in another grade or multiple siblings. And that makes it more difficult to place those kids at other schools. Again, across the board, the numbers overall compared to last year, the average class size is down compared to last year, and it's the lowest. You'll see that in a later slide, but it's the lowest that it's been in quite some time. And again, at Hanmer, you'll see some of the students there with the asterisks. Those are students that are currently participating in our STRIVE program. And again, any opportunity they have for a mainstream opportunity, they would go in with additional adult support. I also want to point your attention out to the number of preschool students. The number of preschool students are up. We knew that that was going to be a situation. That number will go up as the year goes on, as we have more students coming out of birth to 3. And as I mentioned previously, you'll notice for 24-25, I want you to take a look at the average class size. The average class size went from 19.15 last year to currently 17.38. And that's the lowest in 10 years.
Are we asking questions during it or at the end, Madam Chairperson? Just
I
curious.
think we'll wait for the end, if
Wait for
that's
the end.
okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
Go back. Average class size by grade in school. You can see what the numbers look like there. Looking at Silas Deane Middle School, these are our current sections. What you typically see at Silas Deane is the larger numbers in world language. World language classes are very highly subscribed. Language art, this is grade 8. And you can see the larger numbers here. One of the things I can point to also at Silas Deane Middle School with regard to the music, it is clear that the number of musicians we have at Silas Deane is going up. So I'm very, very pleased to see that. I've been in the music classrooms a lot this fall thus far, and very pleased to see the numbers. That's a number where you want a large number. And you can see our class size, the average class size at Silas Deane is largely unchanged, up slightly. And then here are the average class sizes by department. And again, the numbers of 30 plus are limited to the physical education, health, and music. Again, not unusual there. And 3 health as well. And please note that the health classes are part of the physical education. Shifting over to Wethersfield High School, here are our class sizes by department. This is English. What's interesting to look at as you look at this data, you see the number of options we have for our students in terms of sections. We have a lot of opportunities for our students across the math department and science. Here's social studies. I'm also pleased with the number at, if you look on that page on 14, you see the ECE Yukon history. You can see the numbers, 2 sections that are pretty well subscribed. This is a typical slide with regard to class sizes for world language. As you get higher up into the world language, the fewer kids you get. So we've had cases in the past where we had some French 5 students that ended up with like 1 or 2 in a class where it didn't run. We try our hardest to make sure that we provide the section, but we certainly do need to look at what our restrictions are with regard to staffing. And again, I'm quite impressed, Italian 5 honors, we've got 14 students subscribed to that. That's pretty impressive. So, and obviously Spanish is definitely the most popular, followed closely behind by Italian, from what I talked with the students. Here are some of our business courses and our family consumer science. Do want to note that family consumer science, we did a shift. We had Emily Guerrera, who was the family consumer science teacher at the middle school this past year. We had an opening, and she has moved up to the high school. So we see pretty robust numbers there as well. And again, another ECE. Look at that with family development, 24 in that. Technology, education, physical education. Again, the work that Joanne Campbell and Sue Coco do over at the high school in terms of providing opportunities for our kids are endless. So video production, very, very highly subscribed program, 2 sections with 24. And again, you don't really see a lot there that are, your 2 and 3. We've got a lot of students taking advantage of these classes. And then art and music. Then again, with regard to some of our programs, we have a Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts half-day program. So that's half-day Wethersfield High School, half-day at Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts. We have a total of 3 students participating in that. Our ELL program supports 49 students currently at Wethersfield High School. We have an ALS program. That's our Adaptive Living Skills program for students with special needs. We have a total of 44 students. And again, heavy on adult support in that particular program. And then we have the Bridges program. The Bridges program used to be known as the Alternate Day program. Bridges currently has 19 students, and that is housed by a total of 2 teachers with paraeducator support. And again, as was the case at the elementary level, if you look at the average class size, our average class size is actually down compared to last year, just slightly. And table 9, or table 11 rather, you have the idea of the class sizes by department. I'd like to see 0 students, 30 plus in math. It's a little bit steep. But again, what happens when we have limited number of section and limited number of teachers, there's only so many you can fit in the scope of a day. Again, I want to talk a little bit about the Transition Academy. We are currently at a total of 11 students, so we are up by 2. Those students are out in the community environment. They are working with me over at Stillman. They are up at Trinity College. They are everywhere. So we're at 11. We do anticipate a couple will end up aging out, and at that point in time, the numbers will probably drop back down to between 8 and 9. And one of the things to make note of when you look at this particular program, you say, all right, is it something we're going to continue? When you see the ALS at 44, many of the students in the ALS program will transition to the academy. So, and it is an opportunity to keep our kids in our community as opposed to having to go to an out-of-district placement. All right, questions? What do you want to know?
Anyone with questions? Matt?
Thank you for putting together this presentation and this data and for going over it with us, Michael. I was just wondering, I was just thinking that it's good to see that the average class size is going down a little bit, but if you could just, if you will, go over some of the challenges that we face as a district when it comes to keeping class size averages down. I saw a couple that were up in the high 20s.
Yes.
I was just wondering what some of the challenges that we face are in taming those numbers, if you will.
Sure. Well, let me go back to the web example that I talked about earlier. You know, we have 20, 27, 27. Remember that 7 of those kids are in the LEAP and the ABA program, and they integrate in. I will tell you that in the week since this has been done, I've had 2 more first graders come in, hence my conversation with Mr. Craig today. We have that happen on occasion where you will get that group that comes in. One year it was Charles Wright. We had a total of 30 students come in to Charles Wright over the course of the summer. We had that bubble at Silas Deane. We had about 35 kids come in over the course of the summer. So you have to plan for that. You have to plan for physical space as well. As I said over at Webb, we just simply don't have a full classroom available. We have multiple classrooms that are utilized for our LEAP and ABA program, and our classrooms are not large there to begin with. One of the things that Mr. Craig is looking at doing is we have an OT space, utilizing the OT space for a small classroom so that the building sub would take some of the students from the two larger first grade classes and be able to provide instruction for them there. But the idea of having an extra space there at Webb, we are largely built out. Charles Wright is another one of those schools that has very little in the way of classroom space. What we would need to do if we had to open a class at Charles Wright, we'd have to remove the tutoring center and find a space for that. So we're limited in terms of our space. That's one of the big ones. Obviously, the other piece, it's budgetary. So I did check in with Matt today with regard for the ability to bring in that additional building sub. We're able to do that. We're hopeful of getting somebody in that has some level of experience that can support the kids. That's another one of the challenges that we face as well.
So space and budget.
Space and budget. Those
Thank
are
you.
the two pieces. And, you know, the one thing I look at also is, you know, we have those classes that are, you know, on the cusp that are low. The appetite for collapsing a class into October is not one that is going to be well received by parents. And again, I'm always looking at what's best for kids. You know, one of the things we looked at also, we are active participants in open choice. So we looked at the idea of potentially looking at some of our open choice students that are already being transported. Might they want to make a move? And realistically speaking, listening to the teachers don't support that. And again, it's always about what's best for kids first. So thank you for the question, Matt.
Yep, thank you,
Appreciate it.
Michael.
Madam Chairperson? Michael, can you
Yes.
speak to the kindergarten class sizes and the effect the new age had on them? I apologize if you don't have the data from last year, but they seem very small, which is great.
Yes.
So are we expecting an influx again next year as we regulate the curve? So our class size is going down is really a fake number because of the new kindergarten.
It is an anomaly, Chuck.
Anomaly,
I'm
yes.
glad you brought that point up because one of the things we have to look at also is with that enrollment projection that we did as part of the long-range building plan work, we've got a large number of kids that are going to be coming up next year into kindergarten. This was definitely a down year total. I mean, typically speaking, we usually have about 220 to 240 kindergartners. We're down at 177. So, and let's not forget that with the waiver, we took in approximately, I think 30%. We took about 9 kids in, waived them in. So our numbers are down, but birth rate is definitely up for next year. And take a look at the number of preschool students we already have. So definitely something we'll have to look at for budget time.
Excellent. And maybe I'm missing the beat on this one. At Webb School, you're talking about the 7 kids in Strive.
Yes.
So is the 27 include those 7 kids, or
Yes,
is
it
it
does.
7? Okay.
It does.
That's
Yep.
what I want to make sure.
It does.
So we're not sending in 7 kids on top of those 27. They're included in those 27.
That is correct.
Okay.
And those students coming in from the ABA or the LEAP program would be coming in with adult support.
No, understood. I just was worried that we were having 30 kids in a room. And then
Correct. No,
that'd be-
not the case, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Anyone else?
I would say I know I experienced a blip because when my daughter was in first grade. I don't know if it happens in first grade a lot more than other grades, but it was literally like 12 to 13 new kids just showed up over the course of like 3 months, and her class went from like 21 to 27, and both classes did, and it was just like, wow. It was just, you just never know how it's going to go. So I wanted to also ask, when we had the high school update, did she say there's 50 new high school registrations?
We are definitely increased at the high school level.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't on this information. It was in the update we got emailed, but I feel like I saw her say there was 50 new registrations just.
Yeah, so the number, Margie, I have it up on the screen now on page 4. So last year, the high school reported a total of 1,126 kids. Currently, as of October 1st, it's up to 1,146, so we're up 20. And I will tell you, I continue to sign registrations. Family come in from Florida with 2 students. I had a family come in from Pennsylvania this week. So we're still having there some level of fluidity, and they're still coming in. So we'll see that fluctuation. But I will tell you, over the course of the summer, it was interesting in talking with Dave Aberley, who is our residency officer. I did not see the number, the volume of new registrations I typically do during the summer. I would also say, and this is a huge shout out to our parents here in Wethersfield, the number of kindergarten registrations that came in well before August was huge. It allowed me the opportunity to take a look at which one of them had had preschool experiences. So it was great data to have. So we did not have the typical huge rush of registrations coming in. It was much more fluid. And again, as you saw with our staff student recognition tonight, we are getting students in from all over the world. Carla talked about Peru. We've had Peru, Ukraine, Russia, Brazil, all over the world. So again, we bring them in, and they are our students, and we welcome them to the Wethersfield Public Schools.
So
Yes.
for the preschool numbers, I was expecting a higher number for this year compared to last. It doesn't seem to be much more than last year, given the fact that we made a lot more kids stay back because of the kindergarten law now. And were you surprised with those numbers, that it wasn't as high? Or were you expecting a higher number of pre-K?
I was expecting a higher number. What I wonder there, Marjorie, is given the fact that our preschool program is a half day, 4 days a week, it might not have been convenient enough for parents to be able to maintain. And as I said earlier in the presentation, one of the things to be aware of is all of our kids come out of birth to 3. Those kids will come in, those that have IEPs, they will come in. So those numbers will go up. I would not be terribly surprised to have Mr. Kazar at some point later this year say to me, hey, I need some additional support, staffing-wise. Right now, the pre-K classrooms are phenomenal. They are a great place to visit. And the numbers are manageable, but I do expect the numbers to go up as the year progresses.
But the birth to 3-year-olds is not reflective of the change in kindergarten age.
That is correct.
Right?
That's right.
So the
Yeah.
4-year-old grades are kind of the same or stable.
Yes. Yep.
I was going to ask one more question. Oh, I just want to make a comment that I like the idea that middle school blending the electives with 7th and 8th graders, like sharing classes. It sounds like a smart move. Instead of keeping them separate, it sounds like it's easier scheduling wise for the principal.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. One of the things when Tara started over at Silas, Deane, one of the charges for her was to really look at that schedule and maximize the schedule. We have replicated what the high school's done with the We Connect block. We have the Den in the afternoon, so I go over to Silas, Deane in the afternoon. I can meet with kids that I know are on, they're on my radar screen, and the Den is a good opportunity to go in and connect with them. I think the idea of that blending, and again, holding them accountable and, having a culture and climate there that is conducive to learning, it has been a win-win. So thank you for that.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to our Board of Ed meetings held, and our special Board of Ed meeting on 9/27/24 was a Board of Ed meeting at Stillman concerning a student matter. And we had student program and services on 10/01/24. Janice, would you speak to that?
Okay. At this meeting last week, we had a presentation by Andrew Long and Patty Burlow, the teacher coordinators for our EL program. Just for a little background, in the spring of 2023, Andrew Long and Patty Burlow presented information at our Wethersfield Board of Ed meeting. The following March, I requested that they come back to our Student Programming and Services Committee to repeat their presentation for the benefit of our new board members on that committee. After that, what came from that was my request that Andrew and Patty have the first meeting of the SPS, the Student Programming and Services meeting, to take all the time they needed to tell us what their dream EL program would look like, what they would need to create that department, and what their priorities would be. We called it their dream department. So going back, we learned that in 2023, nearly 400 students for whom English is a second language call Wethersfield home, which is enough to fill a typical elementary school. Covering these students are 10 teachers, 2 of which are Andrew and Patty, the teacher coordinators. So we're not looking at a little program to fill the needs of a few students, but rather we're seeing that multilingual students are a characteristic of our school district and indeed of our community. So we need to be thinking about having a system and hopefully a budget that reflects that, or start to. So in the minutes, it was noted that the EL program has grown from 142 students in 2012 to now the nearly 400. Nearly approximately a third of our population comes from a home where a different language is spoken. So Andrew and Patty provided an overview of the legislative requirements, the Parent Bill of Rights, recommended program improvements. They gave us the current program data. They gave us a view of the staffing in other districts, and made other recommendations related to their dream program. So in the minutes for our meeting, you can find links to the Parent Bill of Rights, the English Learners in Connecticut's Public Schools, guidelines for administrators, and also to the slide presentation that Andrew and Patty had made. Their recommendation for their priority would be to have a director of the English language program. In general, it was communicated to the committee that updating the present EL program, particularly in the area of staffing, is necessary in order to best serve students and families, and to also ensure compliance with federal and state requirements. It was stated that the DREAM program for Wethersfield is reality in other districts. Also, we learned that Andrew and Patty, as teacher coordinators, are tasked with doing hours of required government paperwork as well as teach. They also provide professional development for their EL staff and mainstream teachers. We learned that though they are the coordinators, their role as teachers does not allow them to direct, or evaluate the EL teachers. EL is an essential part of what we are tasked to provide for our students in our community. So the goal here is to be give some serious consideration to Andrew and Patty's presentation. Serving this 1/3 of our population appropriately aligns with our school district goals of equity, achievement, and empathy. And asking Andrew and Patty to do this, they responded with an amazing presentation, and they really demonstrated what we mean by leader, which is where people who are on the ground doing the work give us information we need to make plans at budget time and otherwise curriculum.
Thank you. It was an excellent meeting. Thank you. Human Resources and Personnel Committee was canceled. It's rescheduled. Okay, meeting scheduled. We have another Student Program and Services Committee on 10/15/24 at 6 o'clock. Correct Council will meet on 10/16/24 at 11:30 a.m. And Finance and Operations Committee before our next meeting at 10/20/24 2224 at 6 o'clock. So is there anyone wishing to make a public comment? Come on up and state your name and address. And may I remind you that public comments are limited to 5 minutes.
I really hope I can stop coughing long enough to talk, but I'm sorry. Yeah, actually. Michelle McClatt, 140 Timber Trail. I'm a Webb first grade parent. This is my first Board of Ed meeting, and I'm a teacher, so it's kind of embarrassing for me. But
Please don't be.
thank you for all the work that you do. I appreciate it. I guess that my hope is in the future planning of budgets and class sizes for obviously Webb, but everywhere, we've had, in my son's class, there's been one more come in. So he has 28 students in his class. First grade, that's way too many. I understand that there's problems with classes and there's not enough space, but I think we could be creative and find space to make sure that there's not always going to be 27, 28 moving forward. I teach second grade. I can't imagine having 28 kids in my class every day. The other thing is, it's not only unfair to the students, but it's really unfair to the teachers. So I bring a different perspective from it. Like, yes, I think it's very important that students have a smaller class size, and there's a lot of data and research to support the correlation between smaller class sizes and student achievement. But I think of his teacher every night. 28 conferences, 28 report cards. She's not meeting the needs of every student, and she's an amazing teacher, but there's just no way that you can do that. So my hope is that this year you find a solution to help those first grade classrooms. A building sub would be great, but that's still shared between the two classes, so maybe considering a person for each class. And then when it comes to the budget, I know that there's sometimes big budgetary cuts, but one teacher's salary, I can tell you, is not a lot. It's not making the difference. So keep that in mind as we move forward, because it's just unfair to the kids, and it's going to be unfair to the teachers every year moving forward that have these huge class sizes. So thank you for keeping that in mind.
Can you identify yourself?
Michelle McClatt, 140 Timber Trail. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the water. Sorry for the coughing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else from the public? All right, are there any board comments? Janice?
Yes. The Charles Wright PTO held their first meeting of the school year on September 25th. They have already been very busy running back to school bingo night, working on their fall beautification project, and providing a Boohoo Yahoo back to school breakfast for families, to name a few. They also had a welcome back brunch for the teachers, as well as welcome back bags for the teachers, full of goodies such as Kleenex, wipes, school supplies, and mugs. Every month of the school year is filled with a variety of fun fundraising events and opportunities for families to get together. They will have a scarecrow near the Hart building, or they do, so be sure to look for it. Also coming up in October, the Charles Wright PTO has, I believe it's already happened, participate in the Walk Bike to School Day and the Boo Bash Trunk or Treat on the 25th, and a School Colors tie-dye event also on the 25th. A reminder that Charles Wright runs a weekend backpack program for families experiencing food insecurity. Donations to this great cause are appreciated.
Thank you. Anyone else for board comments?
Madam Chairperson, last Thursday I had the opportunity to attend senior night for the Wethersfield boys soccer. It was a hard-fought tie 2-2 against New Britain, but it was great to see the seniors being celebrated. And then Friday night, I had the opportunity to go see Friday Night Lights. Wethersfield played Bristol Central in football. It was a tough loss, but it was great to see. It was middle school night, so I think they had middle school cheerleaders and the middle school band was with the marching band on the field during halftime and in the stands during the first half. So it was great to see. It's great to see our trying to build our music program back up. And it was a tough overtime loss for our Eagles. So
Thanks
it was
for
a great
supporting
week of
that.
sports.
Anyone else for comments? Marjorie?
Hi, I just wanted to let everyone know that one of our board members, Christina Hernandez-Williams, she is the creative brains behind the Scarecrow, the Board of Ed Scarecrow, that is up on Scarecrow on Main, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's up in front of the Heartseed building, and we did help. Some of us helped paint, Jim and Janice and Bobby and myself and Liz, and we did a little bit of helping, but Christina did most of it, and I'm going to thank her for, contributing our Board of Ed to that wonderful community event. Great. It's a great Scarecrow.
Thank you. Yes. John?
Marjorie actually stole my comments because I was also going to thank the board members for that scarecrow. I'm a little biased, but I think we should win the contest. But and thank you, Christina.
Well, don't forget to fill out the Google form if you want the little house, and we will deliver if it's in Wethersfield. My husband will kill me if we go out of Wethersfield. I've made this guy build this, but the board came together to work on this, and I'm really proud. I hosted them. We had pizza, and honestly, it's just a testament to the commitment of every board member here, whether we agree or disagree here. Not to say that everything has to be rainbows, but we really do care about our families and students. Thank you.
Hey, anyone else? All right, I have some comments here. First, I want to thank all the teachers and the principals who take the time to write our Friday update. You know, our Friday update is valuable information for the members of the board to know what's happening in our schools. The words and the pictures bring our committee work to life. And please don't hesitate to invite Board of Ed members to visit your schools or your classrooms. So thank you, teachers and principals. And townspeople, please attend meetings and talk to our building project consultants, TSKP, as they visit PTOs and events in our town. The more citizen input we can receive on this most important and transformative elementary building project, the better the decision-making and organizing will be to get it done for our Wethersfield. And finally, tonight, the Board of Ed has an executive session to interview a superintendent search service. This is our second and final group we will interview. And once selected, this service will also be looking for public input as we move forward in our superintendent search. Again, please be aware of meetings to be held at schools, PTOs, and other town events. The Board of Ed wants and needs to hear from our Wethersfield Public School upcomings and their very important changes. And now, Angelica Data will fill us in on life at our flagship school, Wethersfield High School. Angelica?
So, as Mr. Carey mentioned, we had our Friday Night Light, the Pink Out game. And if I'm not mistaken, I know that NBC Connecticut was there with their From the Sidelines series. And then last week on Friday, we had our annual, for Blue All News, it's like a teacher switcheroo, where the teachers be the anchors, but they pretend to be the students. It was really fun. And then for tomorrow is really exciting because there are tryouts for the Euro Challenge team for sophomores. And then at the same time, for the National Honor Society, there will be student officer elections. And then speaking of National Honor Societies, the French Honor Society and English Honor Society are running up again at the high school. And then this past week, there were Mr. Mosier and Mr. Sikora had their Habitat for Humanity meeting, and students are now preparing to go help out that in November. And then for DECA, they're also having their annual pumpkin painting event and Thanksgiving food drive coming up. For Interact, we have our second meeting of the school year next week, and I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you. I was fascinated. We're having a people building Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much. Okay, is there any unfinished business tonight? All right, so at this time, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of interviewing the Superintendent Search Service of CES.
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That motion passes. Can I have someone make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you all for joining us tonight, and see you at our next